What up, Pittsburgh Steel fans? It is Matty P and Shannon White with another episode at the Steelers Global Perspective. And we've been recording, we record all our videos in usually one clump ahead of the weekend. Shannon and I are about to do our next topic, and Shannon said to me, I've got some breaking news for you. So we're going to kick off with that. This is going to be very interesting, very reaction. Here we go. Let's go. Shannon White, break the news.
Well, I know that you've been a little behind with some of your news in Australia because you hadn't heard about Deshaun Elliott yet. So this one I know you don't know about. It just happened during our last segment.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns just won the Super Bowl next year.
Really?
Because they went and they got a guy that high demand. They went and signed Devin Bush to a 1-year deal. So now Devin Bush, after showing everything he had to show in Pittsburgh and Seattle, now Cleveland has or went out and signed him to a 1-year deal, and that's going to take. They've lost some guys in the interior there at linebacker, and now they've filled their need with Devin Bush, and I couldn't be happier for him.
That could. I'm almost lost for words because I feel like, and it's a good segue for us to talk about Patrick Queen.
But I got to say, I know you might be lost for words on this one. I'm not. But here's what I want you to think about.
No, I'm not.
I want you to think about this. You're taking. They were like the most aggressive defense in the NFL last year. They were just flooding the line, attacking. On the outside, the corners would attack the receivers, and the safeties were flying up. And now you're taking Devin Bush, who has never met a tackle he didn't try to avoid, and you're putting him on the most aggressive defense in the NFL. That's a match made not in heaven, somewhere else.
Well, what I was going to say was it's almost as stupid a move as what they did for Deshaun Watson, except for the fact that with Watson, like, the money and the picks is so high that it outweighs Devin Bush.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren and Connor Haywood must be absolutely laughing their way for what this means. Pat Freiermuth as well over the middle. I mean, the thing is, it'll depend whether he's, who's he going to start and all the rest of it. But, I mean, like, what trait were they going for? Familiarity with the AFC North? Like, I don't know. Maybe they want to turn him into a safety. I don't know. But, like, I don't understand it. But that's a good segue into Patrick Queen. I love it. That was great. No one really puts me on the spot like that very often. So
I had to bring that up. I
love it. Patrick Queen. You had talked a bit about him on some of the different podcasts you've done. I think we talked about him quickly on one-on-ones we've done prior to him signing, and you were concerned about him not having a Roquan Smith in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're very excited for him. You're hoping that they still scheme him well, hopeful that the investment pays off. I mean, $41 million for an inside linebacker, especially for the Steelers with what the team usually spends in free agency, is a lot of money. But I mean, a lot of, we had a reaction video out on the channel, so, it's not necessarily reacting fully to the pick, but how can I guess my question to you is, how do the Steelers get the most out of Patrick Queen this year and beyond?
Well, we was talking about the 3 years, $41 million. You're coming out around 13.5 a year, which everybody was talking on the different football shows today that they were expecting him to get substantially more.
Yeah. And the third year, and I should have said too, the third year, he is very cuttable. I think it's a dead cap hit of like 3.8. Like, if it doesn't work, he's not here the third year.
Yeah. Basically, the first year's where the money is, and then it progressively gets better. But the thing is he was considered the number one free agent off-ball linebacker.
Yep.
And so everybody thought he was going to kind of set the market, and the Steelers set it low by him agreeing to that contract. I was really interested in Willie Gay, Baker, the former Dolphin, and guys who were athletic, but I knew they would be cheaper. The Steelers had to get faster, but I knew they were trying to watch, the cost. But Gay ends up going to the Saints for 1 year, $5 million. I'm like, sign them both. I mean, if Gay was that cheap,
maybe they worried about the ditch drinking.
Well, yes, you pointed that out to me. I was not aware of that, and not a fan of that either. But here's the thing: it was hard for me. At one point, Ravens fans that I know were saying that they thought he was a bust, and they said they overdrafted him, and they said early they wasn't going to pick up that 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Well, they go out, and he finished off. Would have been 2022. He played pretty strong at the end of the year. Then they got Roquan Smith. And then last year, he had a great season with Roquan next to him.
Mm.
I said that the Steelers need an alpha. In that equation, he was Robin to Roquan Smith's Batman.
Yeah.
And see, the Steelers don't have a Roquan Smith. Even if Holcomb is able to come back at some point, and you got a Landon Roberts, they don't have the alpha. So that's who that Queen's going to have to kind of be.
Mm.
But, the more I'm listening to people talk, I can see a Landon Roberts, man in the middle, how physical he is, and much better coverage last year than people give him credit for, too.
Yeah.
I must say. We all thought he was a huge weakness, but he had a good year of coverage. So now Queen should be able to do the same thing he did for the Ravens, and that's just fly after the ball. Go get the ball, sick him. And I think that he could be a really good fit. Definitely the speed and athleticism is going to be a huge upgrade for the Steelers. He's never missed the game.
Yeah.
And he doesn't turn 25 till August.
And he played. He had a great year last year. Not even just Roquan Smith. Like his stats were.
Oh yeah, he made a ton of tackles, but he's really coming into his own. My biggest problem with it at first is I honestly never want him to sign guys in the division because I really dislike Ravens players.
Yeah,
especially vocal ones. And real enthusiastic trash talkers like he was. Now, I have a strong dislike for him. Now he's coming to Pittsburgh, and I'm going to have to learn to like him. And like I said on the Pump Your Brakes podcast last night, I don't like the dude. I'm honest. But
Mike Tomlin likes him.
Once he puts the uniform on, he gets out there and he's fighting for the Steelers and he slobber knocks somebody, I'll like him. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to take time. But there's guys I'm like, I don't want him to sign him because I hate him. He plays for the Ravens. Well, this is like the ultimate guy. If you asked me last year, who did I despise the most on the Ravens, I'd have said,
really?
Yeah. I did not like him at all. And, that's why I never like to see the Steelers go play for, like Mike Hilton playing for the Bengals. It makes me want to, I get sick of my stomach. So, I'm going to have to get past the fact that he was started out as a Raven because now he's a Steeler. And like I said, once the action starts, the hits are flying and everything's happening, I'll get past it.
That's it. Well, I think it's also like interesting that the Steelers have two, I'm pretty sure they overlapped. Dante Jackson and Patrick Queen both played at LSU together.
They did, yeah.
So that's I thought that was kind of interesting as well. But yeah, and I think the other thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, I know you and I were in the comments with one of the subs the other day talking about it, but like eventually, and we don't know what it will be, and I know that he's got to go through his rehab and stuff, but a lot of people talking about, it's Queen with the Landon Roberts, and that's right, that it is to start the season. But imagine if Cole Holcomb comes back and plays at the level that he did last year, starting to play out last year when he got injured, and you've got him with Queen in the middle.
Mhm.
That could be pretty freaking cool. That could be very, very, very cool. So, and now I think they're right to go get a guy in the mid rounds, a linebacker that falls, and develop the guy. Like, imagine if Mark Robinson wasn't the third linebacker on the depth chart, but the fifth or sixth linebacker on the depth chart. How much better would it be?
Well, I would love to see them have a guy kind of fall in their lap, in the middle round there, that they can add to that depth chart.
Because
And
Devin White's still going to be, he's still available right now.
yeah, and I've not heard any rumors about him or anything. I don't know if they could get him on the cheap.
Hopefully.
I mean, they signed 3 last year. It was late when they signed Quan Alexander, but they did get him. So that could happen again this year.
Oh, Devin White. I promise you, by the 17th, whether it's your time zone or my time zone, I think Devin White will sign somewhere. But no, it's interesting. I think with Queen, and I like the way they're doing these deals. They're being very smart about it, and they're making sure they fill these needs. They're making sure they can go offense as well when it comes to the draft. So yeah, pretty interesting. Well, that's gonna wrap up this episode of Steelers Global Perspective. I'm Matty P with Shannon White. As always, go Steelers.